Before they were married, I was walking down the street with my brother. His girlfriend mistook me for his mistress and punched me in the face. My eye socket shattered and I lost sight in one eye. Her excuse, she laughed and stuck out her tongue. Sorry, my eyesight is bad. I misjudged, I'm marrying your brother soon. So we're family, let's not hold grudges, okay? My mother and brother told me to let it go. They said I shouldn't ruin his happiness. After they got married, I was taking a shower in my own home. My sister-in-law kicked the door open and poured a pot of boiling water over me. I suffered severe burns all over my body. She cried and threw herself into my brother's arms. I just love you too much, can't stand any other woman near you. My brother was moved by her love and forgave her. I was dumped in a hospital by my family and left to rot. I died of sepsis when I opened my eyes again. I was back to the day before. I went shopping with my brother. Hannah's birthday is coming up. I need to get her a gift, sis. Come help me pick something out. Tom shook my shoulder, jolting me awake. Phantom pain of boiling water searing my skin lingered for a second. I frantically rolled up my sleeve. But my arm was smooth and unscared. What are you doing? Let's go. Tom urged, his voice, louder now. I glanced at my phone, the date confirmed it. I had been reborn, I can't. I said, clutching my stomach and frowning. Cramps, bad ones. I'm not going anywhere, you're so dramatic. My mom's voice cut in as she walked into the room. She grabbed my arm and yanked me off the bed. It's just cramps, stop faking it. Get up and go with your brother. I fell to the floor, unprepared for the shove. It hurt, but I didn't care. Right now, my priority was saving my eye. Mom, why don't you go with Tom? You have better taste than me. If Hannah knows you picked it out, she'll be even happier. Mom rolled her eyes. I'm busy, I knew the drill. Tom wanted me to go so I would pay. Mom knew it, too. Which is why she didn't want to go. I pulled out my phone and Venmo, Tom. $500 here, my treat. Buy yourself some new clothes for the season while you're at it. Seeing the money, Mom's expression softened instantly. Tom realizing he had a pair. I stopped caring who went with him. Fine, Mom. Go change, let's head out. Mom turned toward her bedroom and I followed. Mom, wear this one. I said, pulling a bright red jacket from her closet. It makes you look younger and gives you a great complexion. She put it on without a second thought. Watched them leave and let out a breath. I didn't know I was holding. But I didn't stay home, I followed them. Tom and Mom went straight to the mall. Tom knew exactly what he wanted. The luxury counters on the first floor. I watched from a distance. Hidden behind a pillar, soon a familiar figure appeared. Hannah, Tom's girlfriend, walked in arm with her best friend. Hannah, look. Isn't that your boyfriend? The friend pointed, Hannah squinted. She saw Tom walking arm in arm with a woman. They were laughing, looking intimate. Because of the angle and the woman's loose hair, Hannah couldn't see her face. But she didn't need to, it was a woman. That was enough, unbelievable. He tells me he's shopping for my gift. But he's actually out with some skank. Watch me teach her a lesson. Hannah rolled up her sleeves and charged Tom. She screamed. Tom and Mom turned around at the sound of his name. In that split second, Hannah's fist connected squarely with Mom's eye socket. Crack, ah. Mom screamed, stumbling back. Clutching her face, you must be desperate. Hannah shrieked, you're hooking up with a grandma. If you want to break up, just say so. Tom stood frozen in shock before rushing to support Mom. Seeing him help the other woman only fueled Hannah's rage. Kill you, you old homewrecker. Shameless old hag, are you crazy? Tom roared, this is my mother. Hannah's hand froze in midair. What? Mom was wailing in agony. My eye, it hurts. I can't see Tom, my eye, Auntie. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. I thought you were. Hannah tried to reach out. But Mom slapped her hand away. Get me to the hospital now. They rushed out, ignoring Hannah completely. Hannah stood there for a moment, realizing she had just punched her future mother-in-law. But she wasn't about to lose her meal ticket. She ran after them, watching the chaos unfold. Couldn't help but laugh out loud. In my last life, I was the one walking next to Tom. I didn't even touch him. But Hannah saw us and decided I was his mistress. She sucker punched me, even after Tom explained I was his sister. She refused to believe it. She kept hitting me and blocked me from going to the hospital. By the time I got treatment, it was too late. I lost my left eye. When I wanted to press charges, she played the victim. I have bad eyesight. You two were too close. Siblings should have boundaries. You only lost one eye. Are you really going to ruin your brother's happiness over that? You're so selfish. I was furious. But Mom snatched my phone and slapped me. You troublemaker, it's just an eye. You still have one left. You want your brother to be alone forever. Because of my disability, I lost my promotion. My boss moved me to a dead-end admin job making coffee. Later, Hannah came home early and found Tom alone. She heard the shower running and assumed he had a woman over. She boiled a pot of water, kicked the bathroom door open and threw it without looking. It was me, I screamed as my skin melted off. Hannah laughed. Die homewrecker. When the steam cleared and she saw it was me, she gasped, Sister, why are you showering in the middle of the day? Are you trying to seduce my husband? I called 911 myself, naked and burning while I needed skin grafts. Tom and Mom stole my savings and told the doctors to stop treatment. Let her go, it's too expensive. I died of infection, on my deathbed. Hannah sneered at me. Next time, stay away from other people's husbands. My funeral, they told everyone I had seduced my own brother, and that my death was karma. I died in agony and shame. But God gave me a second chance. And this time this family of vipers was going to pay. Tom called me from the ambulance, screaming for me to come to the hospital. When I arrived, the doctor was examining Mom. Hannah looked me up and down. Who are you? In this life, I had kept my distance from Tom specifically to avoid her wrath. I smiled. You must be Hannah. I'm Tom's sister. You two are perfect for each other. Hannah didn't respond. She looked pale. Her punch at the mall had been full force. She had meant to maim Mom's eyeball. Had ruptured on impact. Blood was still oozing from the corner of her eye. The doctor sighed. We have to remove the eye immediately to prevent infection. Mom gasped and fainted with her one good eye. Rolling back, I rushed forward, wailing theatrically, Oh, Mom. My poor mother, who did this to you? How will you live as a cyclops? My wailing woke Mom up. She remembered her attacker. She leaped up, grabbing Hannah by the hair with one hand, and slapping her with the other. You bitch, give me back my eye. Give it back. Hannah was a bully. But she couldn't fight. She screamed for Tom to help. Tom stood there useless, trying to pull them apart. Tom, break up with this psycho right now. She is never stepping foot in my house. Mom screamed. Hannah, battered and crying, clung to Tom's arm. Babe, I'm sorry. I just loved you too much. I lost my mind. She turned to Mom. Auntie, I'll make it up to you. I'll marry into your family and take care of you forever. I'll be your eyes. Tom's face lit up. He was satisfied he got the girl and the caretaker. But Mom wasn't having it. Get out. I don't want a lunatic like you. She glared at Tom. If you stay with her, you're dead to me. I stepped in to mediate. Okay, everyone calm down. Mom is emotional. You two wait outside. I'll talk to her. Hannah sat on the bench, rubbing her swollen face. Mom sat next to her. I went back into the room. Hannah had to marry Tom. They deserved each other. I needed them under one roof so they could destroy each other. I sat next to Mom. Mom, calm down. Think about the future. Mom glared at me. What do you mean? A few minutes later, I called the lovebirds back in. I agree to let you marry my son, Mom said to Hannah. Hannah beamed, opening her mouth to thank her. But I have conditions, Mom interrupted. First, you blinded me. You pay for the surgery and the hospital stay. Second, no dowry. No wedding gifts. If it weren't for Tom, I'd have you arrested. You'd go to prison for assault. Hannah frowned at the no dowry part. Mom immediately reached for her phone to dial 911. I jumped in. Hannah, think about it. Once you're married, we're family. Money ruins relationships. And if Mom presses charges, you'll have a criminal record. Your future kids won't be able to get government jobs. Tom, realizing he wouldn't have to pay a dowry, immediately sided with us. Outnumbered, Hannah agreed. Her parents, fearing she had blinded her future mother-in-law, were too ashamed to argue. Since Mom needed surgery, there was no wedding. They just signed the papers at the courthouse. Mom lost her eye, I bought her a pirate patch. Hannah moved in, Mom made it her mission to make Hannah's life hell. But they were newlyweds. So Tom and Hannah were still in the honeymoon phase. Hannah, however, couldn't stop being paranoid. One day, she asked Tom to drive her to her parents' house. When she got in the car, she noticed the passenger seat had been moved forward. He didn't explode immediately. She waited until she got home. "Sis," she asked me casually. "Did you sit in Tom's car recently? Did you adjust the seat?" I looked confused. "Me? No, why, me? No, why?" I looked at Hannah with genuine confusion, clutching my purse tighter. "I have my own car, Hannah, why would I ride with Tom? Besides, I know how particular you are about your territory." Hannah narrowed her eyes, her fingers drumming deeply into the leather of the sofa. "The seat was moved," she hissed. "Someone with long legs sat there. Tom's legs are short, yours are long." "Maybe it was a colleague?" I suggested innocently, walking to the kitchen to pour myself a glass of water. I took a sip, letting the silence stretch just enough to be uncomfortable. "Actually, Tom did mention they hired a new intern in his department, Jessica, I think. He said she's fresh out of college, really eager to please. Maybe they carpool to a meeting?" I watched the color drain from Hannah's face, replaced instantly by a flush of rage. "An intern? I'm sure it's nothing." I waved a hand dismissively. "Tom loves you. He wouldn't risk your passion for a girl just because she's 22 and a former cheerleader. That would be stupid." I had just handed her a knife. I knew she would stab herself with it. For the next few weeks, the house became a war zone. My mother, missing an eye and filled with venom, demanded to be treated like a queen. She refused to work, claiming her injury, inflicted by Hannah, had ruined her balance. She spent her days sitting in the living room, banging her cane against the floor whenever she wanted tea, a foot rub, or the channel changed. "Hannah!" Mom shrieked, "My tea is cold. Are you trying to freeze me to death like you blinded me?" Hannah, dark circles under her eyes from staying up all night checking Tom's phone, stomped into the room. "Get it yourself, you old hag, I'm busy." "Tom!" Mom wailed immediately, "Your wife is abusing me again." Tom, who had become an expert at disappearing, shuffled in. He looked exhausted, living with a paranoid wife and a mutilated, narcissistic mother was aging him rapidly. "Babe, just get her the tea, please, I have a headache." "Your headache?" Hannah laughed maniacally. "What about her?" She pointed at the empty air next to him. "Did Jessica give you that headache?" "Who the hell is Jessica?" Tom shouted, genuinely confused. "Don't lie to me." Hannah grabbed a vase and hurled it. It shattered inches from Tom's head. I sat in the corner, reading a book, suppressing a smile. In my past life, that vase would have hit me. This time, I just turned the page. I decided to accelerate the rot. I knew Tom wasn't actually cheating with an intern named Jessica. I had made her up. But Tom was weak, and when a man is accused of cheating constantly at home, he eventually decides he might as well commit the crime since he's already doing the time. I transferred $2,000 to Tom's hidden bank account, the one I knew about from my previous life. I added a memo. "Thanks for last night, Jay." I knew Hannah checked his banking app. She knew his passwords. She had forced him to give them up on their wedding night. 3 days later, the explosion happened. I came home from work to find the living room trashed. The TV was smashed, clothes were strewn everywhere. Hannah was sitting on the floor, sobbing, holding a pair of scissors. Tom was locked in the bathroom. "He's paying her," Hannah whispered, rocking back and forth. "He's paying that whore." Mom was standing over her, looking delighted. "See? I told you he'd get bored of a psycho like you. A man needs a gentle woman, not a boxer." Hannah's head snapped up. The look in her eyes was feral. She lunged at Mom with the scissors. "You knew!" Hannah screamed. "You covered for him." Mom shrieked, dodging behind the sofa. "Get away from me. Tom. Help." I stepped in, not to save them, but to direct the traffic of their violence. I grabbed Hannah's wrist firmly. "Hannah, stop. If you hurt Mom, Tom will definitely leave you. He'll take the house, and he'll move Jessica in next week." Hannah froze. The thought of another woman in her house, touching her things, paralyzed her. "What do I do?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I love him so much, I can't let her have him." "You need to be smarter," I whispered, leaning close. "Mom is the problem. She drains his money, she stresses him out. If Mom wasn't here, maybe Tom wouldn't need to escape to another woman." Hannah looked at Mom, who was currently peering over the sofa with her one good eye, looking like a frightened goblin. A dark understanding passed through Hannah's eyes. From that day on, the dynamic shifted. Hannah stopped screaming and started plotting. The household accidents began. First, it was the stairs. Mom slipped on a patch of oil. She tumbled down 12 steps, breaking her hip. Hannah cried the loudest at the hospital, but I saw the bruise on Mom's back that looked suspiciously like a handprint. Then, it was the food. Mom got severe food poisoning 3 times in a month. She wasted away, becoming skeletal. Tom was too busy with his work trips. He had actually started seeing a waitress from a local dive bar, driven into her arms by the chaos at home, to notice his mother was being slowly assassinated. I played the role of the saint. I visited Mom in her room, bringing her broth that I knew was safe. "She's trying to kill me," Mom rasped, gripping my hand with claw-like fingers. "That bitch puts glass in my oatmeal. I feel it in my throat." "Shoo, Mom," I soothed, patting her hand. "Hannah is just stressed. Besides, you need her. Who else is going to change your diapers now that you can't walk?" "You do it," Mom demanded. "You're my daughter." "I work, Mom. Someone has to pay the mortgage since Tom is preoccupied." I stood up, smoothing my skirt. "Be nice to Hannah. She's all you have." I left the room, leaving the door slightly ajar so Hannah, who was lurking in the hallway, could hear. Hannah walked in moments later, holding a pillow. She looked at me, I looked at her. I walked downstairs and turned up the volume on the television. She didn't kill her, not yet. She just held the pillow over Mom's face long enough to terrify her, to assert dominance. When I came back up, Mom was gasping for air, her one eye wide with terror, and Hannah was calmly folding laundry in the corner. Tom made a mistake. He got comfortable. He brought the waitress, a girl named Bella, to a company party. He didn't think Hannah would find out because Hannah wasn't allowed at his company events after the eye incident. But I was invited. I was a shareholder now. I snapped a photo of Tom and Bella kissing by the chocolate fountain. I didn't send it to Hannah directly, that would be traceable. Instead, I printed it out and slipped it into the pocket of Tom's suit jacket, the one I knew Hannah would take to the dry cleaners the next morning. The next day was a Saturday. I woke up to a silence that was heavier than a scream. I walked downstairs. Hannah was sitting at the kitchen table. The photo was in front of her. She wasn't crying, she was smiling. It was the smile of a person who had nothing left to lose. "Tom is in the shower," she said softly. The shower, the sound of the water running triggered a phantom pain in my own skin, the memory of boiling water melting my flesh in my previous life. "Is he?" I asked, pouring coffee. "He's singing," Hannah said. "He thinks he's happy." She stood up. She walked to the stove. There was a massive stock pot there, the biggest one we owned. It was boiling. Steam rose in thick, white clouds. "I'm going to make him some pasta," Hannah said. "That's a lot of water for pasta," I noted. "I want to make sure it's cooked through." She grabbed the pot handles with oven mitts. I leaned against the counter. "The bathroom door lock is broken," I said casually. "I noticed it yesterday. You just have to push hard." Hannah nodded. "Thanks, sis." She walked up the stairs, the heavy pot sloshing slightly. I waited 5 seconds, then I followed, taking out my phone. I needed to record the audio, for legal reasons. I stood at the bottom of the stairs. Kick, the sound of the door flying open. "Honey?" Tom's voice, confused. Then, the splash. The scream that followed wasn't human. It was the sound of a vocal cord shredding under the weight of agony. It was a high-pitched, gargling shriek that vibrated through the floorboards. "You love her?" Hannah screamed over his wails. "You want heat? Is she hot like this? Is she?" Clang, she hit him with the pot. "My face! Oh God, my face!" Tom was sobbing. Then, a new voice joined the chorus, "Mom." Mom had dragged herself out of her room on her walker. Seeing her precious son being boiled alive gave her a burst of adrenaline. She threw herself at Hannah. "Leave him alone!" Mom screeched. I walked up the stairs calmly. The scene in the bathroom was a masterpiece of gore. Tom was writhing on the floor, his skin peeling in red sheets. Hannah was trying to pour the remaining water on his groin. Mom was biting Hannah's leg. Hannah turned, eyes glazed with madness. She kicked Mom with her heavy boot. Mom flew backward, her head cracking against the porcelain toilet bowl with a sickening crunch. She slumped over, motionless. Hannah didn't stop. She straddled Tom, punching his burned face. "Look at me. Look at me when you die." I dialed 911. "Police, please, my sister-in-law, she's killing my family. There's blood everywhere. Please hurry." I hung up and stepped into the doorway. Hannah looked up at me, breathless, her hands slick with Tom's blood and blistered skin. "He cheated," she told me, pleading for understanding. "He cheated on me." "I know," I said softly. "You did what you had to do." I looked at Tom. He was barely conscious, one eye swollen shut, the other looking at me with desperation. "Sis, help." I smiled down at him. "I am helping, Tom. I'm calling the ambulance, just like you did for me." But I didn't move to stop Hannah when she picked up a razor from the sink. I just watched until the sirens grew loud enough to force me to act. The trial was sensational. The boiling water bride, the tabloids loved it. Tom survived, but he wished he hadn't. The burns covered 60% of his body. His face was a melted mask of scar tissue. He lost an ear and most of his nose. The nerve damage left him in constant, excruciating pain. Mom didn't die immediately. The brain hemorrhage from hitting the toilet left her paralyzed from the neck down and unable to speak. She was trapped in her own body, staring at the ceiling with her one remaining eye. Hannah was arrested on the spot. Her defense pleaded insanity, citing the gaslighting and emotional abuse. It worked, partially. She wasn't sent to prison, she was sent to a high-security psychiatric facility for the criminally insane, indefinitely. I visited her once, 6 months later. She was sedated, sitting in a white room. When she saw me, she smiled. "Did Tom learn his lesson?" she asked. "Yes, Hannah, he learned. He's all yours now." "Good," she closed her eyes. "We're going to be so happy when I get out." She was never getting out. I sold the house, it had too many stains. With the money from the sale and the insurance payouts, Tom had been incapacitated, so I had been granted power of attorney over his assets. I bought a beautiful apartment in the city, far away from the suburbs. I placed Mom and Tom in a state-run care facility. It was the cheapest one I could find. It smelled of bleach and boiled cabbage. I visited them one last time before I left the country. Tom was in a wheelchair, bandaged and weeping silently. Mom was in the bed next to him, her eye darting frantically around the room. "I'm going on vacation," I told them, adjusting my silk scarf. "I might not be back for a while." Tom made a gurgling sound. He was trying to say "don't leave us." Mom's eye was wet, she was crying. "You told me once," I said, leaning over Mom's bed, "that I shouldn't hold grudges, that we're family, that I shouldn't ruin my brother's happiness over a little pain." I patted Tom's bandaged shoulder. He flinched. "I took your advice, I let it go. I let Hannah go right at you." I straightened up and checked my watch. "Well, I have a flight to catch. The nurses said they change the sheets once a week. Try not to make a mess." I walked out of the room. Behind me, the muffled sounds of their misery faded into the background noise of the hospital. I walked out into the sunlight. The air was crisp, my vision was perfect. Both my eyes were clear, sharp, and focused on the future. I hailed a taxi. "Where to, miss?" "The airport," I said, "and play some music, something happy."